Hello, my name is David Webb and this is a video for Dweebovision. I am a Scrabble grandmaster and in this video I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully this will help to improve your game and be fun to watch. The game has just started, so let's join the action. It's my opponent to go first. I do not have a bingo on my rack and I don't think these tiles make a bingo with an additional letter. I can play VAW, V-A-W. My priority is to get rid of the V and the W as soon as possible, preferably on the same move. But VAW doesn't play. I can play Wave or Waver. They both use the E, which I would like to keep, but the priority is getting rid of the W and the V. I notice that the J can take an A underneath it to make JA, but I can't see a way of playing off the W and the V and taking advantage of that hook. So what I'm thinking about doing is Wave, and I think Waver is better. It scores slightly more and it inhibits my opponent's prospects of utilising the triple word square at h15 because the R of Waver only takes an E underneath it. And if it stays open, I have troubled through the E of Waver. But I don't have a 7 and I can't see any other 8s. If I can't play a bingo, I would like to get rid of the U. So a play like Drub, if it was playable, would achieve that end. I've got the O, which goes underneath the J, but I can't see how to play the U and take advantage of that J hook. Oh, fabulous. I can play Troubled. Gosh, I thought for one moment that it wouldn't fit in. It does fit in. Troubled. Great, 72 points. Duplicate I and duplicate N, not so promising. I do need to consider the floaters on the board in case I have an 8. But I don't think I do. My priority therefore is to resolve the duplicates in my rack, so a play like HIN would leave RINT, would achieve that. I note that the U of Troubled takes an H after it. But I'm not sure that's going to be terribly useful to me on this move. Now I can play 9th. That would be great, through the T of Troubled, hitting the triple word square at A8 and putting the H on the double letter square at A12. That would be terrific, and that would leave RIT. But I am expecting my opponent to take that spot. And my opponent has changed. Well, have been fortunate so far in this game. 9th for 36 points. Now this looks promising. If there were a floating E, I would have variest. But do I have anything through the O? I can't see a 7-letter bingo, but there is the O of troubled. Now that makes overitis, and I don't think overitis has any anagrams. And I can't see a bingo through any other tiles. And my opponent provides a floating E. Which is helpful. Now, what is the bingo through an E? Variest, as previously mentioned. I don't think it has any anagrams. We'll find out later. Variest for 62. I'm wondering if there's anything through the C of de-ice which may hit one of the double word squares in column 14. But I can't think of such a bingo. Six vowels. That's pretty yucky. What can I do about that? I'm inclined to change because I can't see a way of resolving this rack in one move, or of scoring enough on this move to justify taking a poor leave into my next move. Having said that, there is a spot for the Y underneath JA. Let's just see what this scores. 36 points is a lot, and that's definitely better than changing. There's no way of playing any longer word in this place, and there's no higher scoring opportunities on the board, so I am going to take the score and maybe change next move if my rack deteriorates or doesn't improve. And I have 2 consonants, so I may be able to struggle through this rack without needing to change. I nearly have a bingo, but I don't. Teeny E is good. So if one of the I's were an A, I would have teeny E, but it's not, so I don't. So I'm looking for a play which helps to address the consonant-vowel balance in my leave. So most likely playing off 3 vowels and 1 consonant. Play like A-I-N-E. Which would go in row F, creating the word you. I've also got AINE, A-I-N-E-E, which would leave I-T. That would certainly address the vowel consonant problem. I'm over 100 points ahead at this stage. There are 43 tiles in the bag and I've got 14 minutes on my clock. So I'm not in any time trouble at this juncture. I'm thinking about playing AINE down here. It doesn't take an S at the end. I like the fact that it burns 5 tiles, scores 18 points, which is not bad. It does provide a lot of floaters for my opponent, but I think there are plenty of opportunities on the board, plenty of bingo lanes on the board anyway. So that's not as bad as it could be. Now through a floating T I would have out weights. I don't have a 7-letter bingo. I can't see any 8-letter bingos with the floaters that are available. I've got the W and the U, which is a bad combination. It's a priority to play off one of them and preferably both of them, but that's difficult. The two short words which use WAU are wall and war, but neither is available. Well, there's walk, W-A-U-K, through the K of DWEEB. I think I will probably play that. Because placing the W in the triple word lane is not particularly bad in that my opponent is very unlikely to bingo through it. So this is what I'm considering. The leave of IOST is okay. So that's 22 points, which would give me a 120 point lead. And I can't see anywhere else to play off the W and the U. And this is why it's important to play off bad tiles like the W and the U as soon as possible, because I've drawn another one, and if I'd played off the W and retained the U, I would now be looking at a rack with 2 U's, which would be much harder to deal with than dealing with my current rack, which is just the 1. I don't have a 7-letter bingo. The letters on my rack go reasonably well together. So I ought to be able to sort it out. There is a hot spot at K5. Great, that's what I was hoping would happen. My opponent would take the W spot onto the triple word square and not score very much. He scores 24, so I've gotten off reasonably well. There's a nice lane in column 2 from the triple letter square at J2 down to the double word square. If I could get my B or my P onto that triple letter square, I would get a reasonable score. I would also want to play off the U. can't see a way of doing that, but what I have spotted is pub, which takes out a lot of the floaters I provided and scores 28 points and resolves the rack as well as could be hoped. And that's not a good pickup. But I am 130 points ahead and there's only 27 tiles in the bag, so I want to keep scoring. My opponent scores 70, but he's still 60 points behind. It's going to be difficult to keep scoring with a rack of only 1 point tiles. So, what should I do? I could play route in column 12, parallel to pub. Now that opens up the triple word square at 08, which I would prefer not to do, and it keeps the U. It is, however, the last U, so it's not as problematic as U's ordinarily are. Let's see how much that scores. I'm sorry, it does use the U, it keeps a duplicate I. So route for 21, keeping double IS, that's not a good leave. But what options do I have? Looking at the tiles that are left, they are reasonably bingo friendly, so this does feel slightly reckless. I'm not bothered about my opponent scoring using the triple word square at 08. I'm worried about him getting a bingo because I think he needs a bingo in order to catch me. There are, however, bingo lanes open in row B and row F, so it's not as dangerous as it could be, but I don't like the leave. Having said that, there is only one I left, so keeping the duplicate I shouldn't result in having a triplicate I next go. Route for 21 doesn't feel great. It's good to score over 20 points with a rack like this. Well now, I'm just wondering if Torii plays anywhere. I don't think it does. But I could play Torii in the same spot as route, and although it retains the U, it splits up the duplicate I, and the I is perhaps a less dangerous letter than the T in terms of my opponent playing bingos in row O. I think I've convinced myself. I don't have a bingo, but I do have the Y, and it's nice to see the G as well at this stage, because any tile which scores more than 1 point increases your scoring potential. There are 19 tiles in the bag. I've got just under 8 minutes left, and there are 7 tiles on my opponent's rack. My opponent scores well and only plays 2 tiles, so he is creeping up on me. Now the triple word square at 08 is open to me, but I can't take advantage of it. And because my opponent has been scoring well, it's imperative that I score. Now, Oys looks good. 38 points, that's a big score. Not a problem playing my S because I've still get to keep an S, and the leave is not too bad. I can't see anything better. And I have a scoring tile with the F. So I could play fudge and U. My opponent plays of for 21. So he's doing the right thing in scoring and playing off just a few tiles, because that extends the length of the game and therefore increases the number of racks which he has got the potential to bingo from. I'm wondering if I can use the Eye of Tauri and reach the triple letter square at 08. I don't think I can. I am now 58 points ahead, so I could survive a bingo. Now the advantage of fudge is that it takes out a bingo lane. It doesn't provide any helpful floaters, and it uses a lot of tiles, so it helps to expedite the end of the game. And I note that there's a blank unseen, so playing a lot of tiles increases my chances of drawing that blank, and IS is a good lead. A good leave, rather. And I draw the blank, and that's a great rack. I've got patterners in row B. Do I have a second bingo? It would be nice to have one through the Eye of Tauri. And there probably is one, because this is a great set of letters. I've got 5 minutes left on my clock. So AIINPST. What bingos does that make with a floater? I'm just mentally running through the alphabet for the blank. I'm up to H and I haven't seen anything. I'm sure there is something though. The R looks likely, but nothing's jumping out at me. Well, I can't see anything. There are 5 tiles in the bag. I think if I bingo in row B, I am uncatchable. So having mentioned patterners, that doesn't reach the double word square at B2. And there surely must be one which does. Gosh, I can't see it. Well, I've got patterners in my back pocket. Well, I'm sure I'll be kicking myself when I see what I've missed, but I am going to play patterners. And that's 64 points, and that should secure the win. I'm slightly worried about my opponent putting the Z on A4, but he's not going to catch me. Great, and he can't put the Z on that square and have a play beginning at A1 because he doesn't have a tile that can go in front of the P. I don't think I can go out in 1. So what options do I have? Well, that's 43 for my opponent. And my opponent has lost contact or quit. So quite often when this happens, my opponent returns quite quickly. So I will keep recording while I briefly consider what I can do with this move. And the obvious move which jumps out is Tog, Zag and Po. And that's 28 points. That would leave me with LT, but my opponent, looking at my opponent's rack, he's got deals on his rack. I'm just seeing if he can go out in 1. Well, yes, he could, because he could play Slade underneath Zag to make Slade and Zags. So perhaps Got isn't, or Tog rather, isn't the best play. But does my opponent have any other outs? What I am going to do now is pause the video and I will restart it either when my opponent returns or when the game is adjudicated in my favour. Welcome back. The game has been adjudicated in my favour. I didn't spot anything better than Tog while I was waiting, but let's have a look now at the history of the game and see what I missed. Well, this was the opening move. No bingos there, and just a whole bunch of scores in the 20s. And the teens. But note that the scores in the 20s retain either the V or the W, and I think it was worthwhile taking a lower score and getting rid of both of them. Troubled was the only bingo. Oh, look at that. That was my opponent's rack. 3 E's and 4 I's. What a horror show. 9th. Yep, played that. And this was the various play. Were there other bingos? No, there wasn't. That is slightly surprising. I thought there may be. A and Oi are the highest scoring plays. The 5 vowel Lee was pretty horrendous. Yeah, just a whole bunch of low scoring plays which play off a lot of the vowels. Outsaw for 44, that's a big score. N1, I see, it pluralises Doic and it puts the W on the triple letter square at N6. and then that gets doubled, so outsaw was a good play. Subtopia. Missed bingo. Yep, onto the A of walk. That would have been a really nice spot. I considered subtopic and rejected it, which was close to Subtopia, but I certainly didn't think of Subtopia, and then pub appears as the second suggestion. Roti. Well, Roti and Tori, basically the same move. Ois was my play there. And this is where I played fudge. Well, that's surprising. I didn't feel that it was optimal. And it may not be optimal, but it does appear there's nothing obviously better from the selection of choices being offered. Right, let's see if I missed anything through the eye of Tori. No. Gosh. Now what it's suggesting is a whole lot of plays in column 2 which put the S in front of cam to make scam. Now I didn't consider that possibility, and I should have done. But I don't see any suggestions here of plays that go in column B starting at the double word square, although it's possible that there are some but which score lower than the possibilities suggested. Now this is where my opponent left, and well, Tog and Log are being presented as being possibilities, but that's probably not taking account of my opponent's ability to play Slade. Anyway, I think there were a number of interesting spots in that game, so I hope you enjoyed watching it. My name is David Webb, and this has been a video for Dweebovision.